Hey y'all. Welcome back to Your Relationship with You. I am so happy to talk to you again today because today I want to talk to you about the power of agreement. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, if any two of you agree on anything on earth, whatever you bind in heaven will be bound in the earth, whatever you loose in heaven will be loosed on the earth. And that's normally the place that I hear about when speaking about the power of agreement. However, I want to take a different approach. More like, who are you in agreement with? Or what are you in agreement with? Because what I'm finding over the last couple of days and the last several conversations that I've had, we are in agreement with a narrative, a demonic narrative that is literally straight from the pit of hell. Like, there are things that God has spoken over our life. He's given some of us visions. He's given some of us prophetic words. He's given some of us imaginations that we see ourselves on podiums. We see ourselves traveling around the world. We see ourselves on grand stages. Like, we've seen it. And there is something that's happening, that there is a voice that's speaking against what you see, what you hear, and even what you pray about, even what's in the Bible on what God says you can have. Like, there is something. And of course, we know what that something is. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to steal the vision that you have over your life. He wants to steal what God is doing in your life. He wants to steal every single promise that is given to you. Like, and we're so in agreement with that voice that it makes everything else a lie. We are so in agreement with the voice of the enemy that we make everything else a lie. When the Bible talks about without faith it's impossible to please God, I look even at that as twofold. Like, without faith, like if you don't have faith, then you can't please God, right? Like, that's pretty simple. Like, we understand that faith equals pleasing to God. But what it's also saying is that without faith, you you won't even believe God in order to please Him. Like, cause you won't even believe the word that He says over your life. You won't believe who He really says He is. Do you understand? Like, you can't please a person if you don't believe who they are. If you don't believe who they say they are, if you don't believe in what they do. Like, if you, because even look at this in your relationships. If there is someone in your life and you don't trust who they are, you don't trust their intent, you don't trust their mindset, you don't trust their ability, whatever the case, if you don't trust them and have faith in them, then everything you do is going to be contrary to what they want you to do, because you don't trust their intentions no how. If they want you to go left and they don't tell you why, but they just like, yo, go left, because you don't have faith in their direction, you're going to go right. So again, you can't please, and look at the parallel, you can't please God if you don't have faith in His instruction, in his identity, in His provision, in his faithfulness, in His goodness. Like, the Bible tells us that His thoughts toward us are good. If you don't believe that, if you're not in agreement with that statement, that God's plans for me are good, they are to prosper me, they are to bring me to an expected end. If you are not in agreement with that statement, then you're going to think that God is harsh to you. You're going to think that God is mean to you. You're going to think that God is not a promise keeper. You're going to think that He don't come through for you. You're going to think that you struggle and He watches you from His throne and don't do nothing to help you. That is what you are in agreement with. What are you in agreement with? And when I talk about the power of agreement, If you're in agreement with a demonic narrative, especially against God and who God has called you to be, it is so. It is so. It is so. Whatever you say out of your mouth, it is so. So if you're in agreement with a demonic narrative, you're going to speak that out of your mouth, and out of your mouth are your words established. Whatever you declare a thing to be is what it is. And this is the thing, y'all. When God created man, he put us above the angels where we could judge the angels. So we are above, we are seated with him in heavenly places. We're seated with God in heavenly places. He is the King of all kings. He is the Lord of all lords. So as an inheritor of the King of all kings, whether I accept my place or not, I got to break this down for just a moment, y'all. Think about, a lot of us in America, we're not all the way familiar with kings and queens and monarchs and all the things. We're not all the way familiar with that because, we are under a democracy. But in recent years, we've become more familiar with like King Charles and Harry and all of them, right? So Harry, the Prince of whatever in England, he left, right, with his wife. He left, but he's still a prince. He is still a prince because it is his birthright. So regardless of if he accepts his role in that family, he is still Harry, Prince of whatever, or Duke of, y'all know what I'm saying. But he's still that, whether he lived in England or he in California or wherever he at. That's still his inheritance. His kids are still prince and princess or whomever they are. They are still that, whether they live there or not. So what I'm getting at is because God created us in this level, we are royalty. And we have to understand that. So whatever the king says out of his mouth is a decree. He cannot go against his decree. We see counts of that in the Bible. So whatever you're saying out of your mouth, this is why the enemy will try to infiltrate you and infiltrate your spirit and get you to agree with whatever he's putting in front of you so that you can speak something out of your mouth. And as a royal heir, it must be established. It must be established. What are you in agreement with? Tear down the lies of the enemy. I'm going to say this until I can't say it again. Tear down the lies of the enemy. Anything that exalts itself against the knowledge of God must be cast down. You have to become so ingrained in who God is, who God says that you are, what God says you can have. If you don't get in line and in agreement with the promises of God, with the knowledge of God, then you'll continue to sabotage your life. You'll continue to curse your life. You'll continue to be an enemy against God because you can't serve two masters. Because either you'll hate the one and love the other, or love the other and hate the one. You cannot serve two masters. And if you're agreeing with the demonic narrative, again, you're in error. You're in error. So I leave y'all with that. Fall out of agreement with demonic narratives and lies. Just sit in silence sometimes and pay attention to the thoughts that creep up. Do they creep up taunting you about what you can't have and how you'll never be this and you'll never be that? Do they creep up? When people tell you something about yourself, do you put your head down? Do you not agree? Do you feel an inner twinge to go against what they say. Pay attention to those things, because that's what you're in agreement with. And that's where you start. You must fall out of agreement with demonic narratives and lies. Okay? Okay. That's what I have for y'all. I love y'all. Y'all be blessed. Be a blessing to others. Get my book, Your Relationship with You. It is in the link in my description. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things. I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.